So we're looking at newcomers. Now for the experienced people, I hope there will be some gems in here for you. But for the newcomers, I want you to become the guru of Framework 10 in your organization. Now, I was actually going to give it that title, How to Become the Guru. Now, for the newcomers, I want to share a fact and a secret. The fact is that the senior people in your universities and research centres know absolutely nothing about what I'm going to tell you in the next 20 minutes. Absolutely, I need them. I know from the discussion they don't know what I'm talking about. So it is possible that you might be 25, 26, 27-year-old, but you're the most informed person. And the second secret I'm going to give you a secret of the gurus, and I see Doris here. I suppose I'm a bit of a guru. And I'm sorry about this, Doris, but I'm going to give away one of our secrets. We read things. You read a lot, don't you? I read things. I don't use AI for analysing or anything like this. So the secret is understanding the process, but if you're not reading, you're not doing your job. And downloading is not reading. You know, so I want to show you what you should be reading, and if anyone want to, our email is site here. So the first thing you need to understand if you want to become a guru is what should we be monitoring and why should we be monitoring it. Now, this is fairly basic. We looked at this yesterday. Where are we today? So when you go back next Monday or whatever to your office and somebody says to you, what's happening with Framework 10? Where are we at this very moment? What is going to happen between now and 2028, step by step? And based on that knowledge, you're recommending to the director, this is what we should be doing in 2026, early 27, and so on. So I hope it's a very practical tool. And if you want the PDF, I know you'll be getting it later on. You can email me or join me on LinkedIn or whatever to get. Now, the next program is going to be called Horizon Europe, but it's the 10th framework program. So to avoid confusion between the current Horizon Europe and the next one, let's call the next one Framework 10. So why monitor? Very, very simple. No surprises in 2028. You know, you don't want to wake up and say, what the hell is that question mean? Right? Now, what kind of surprises? The first thing you need to know is what will the structure of Framework 10 be, the division with the pillars and so on. That's, everybody will be writing about this. But what I focus on, and you as a support should focus on, is, if this thing's working, yeah, the evaluation criteria. Not the evaluation process, the evaluation criteria. So when I'm reading. So when the evaluation criteria come out, I go, boring. I know exactly where that comes from. So I want to show you what defines the evaluation criteria. Now, some of you will be monitoring the changes in the rules, will be more lump sum. I don't cover that. But the scientists, they have to be monitoring the expert group reports that the Commission is using, because that's where you get the ideas, and that's where you find your partners. Are you feeling wise already? You know, so if you go back to your bosses, look at that slide, and you're standing in the coffee dock and you're telling everybody, that sums up what we are doing. Dallas, is that good? That's what you do. You know, that's what we're about. I've been doing it for 45 years, and we do it without thinking. So it was great to give this presentation to see, summarize it for new people. So where are we today? Now, the way things work in Europe is we have 27 countries come together, they identify areas where they cooperate and so on, and one of them is research and innovation. So we have Horizon Europe, we've InvestEU, Erasmus. You hear about all these programs, and there are actually about 30 programs funded by Europe. So the Horizon Europe today is just one of those. So what is the debate that's going on today? The debate that's going on, if it's coming on, is not about Framework 10. It's about the whole MFF. So you bit the coffee break. Well, they're not talking about Framework 10. They're talking about the whole budget. You know, and you must look very wise and practice it in front of the mirror. The debate that's going on today is about the program, the complete program. So Framework 10 is not being debated because they don't know how much money it's going to get. Now, in the current Horizon Europe, there was a new word introduced that's going to be big in the next programme. It's called synergies. They want more synergies between the programmes to tackle big challenges. Now, that's going to become an evaluation criteria. That's not written anywhere, I'm just telling you, based on experience. So, to understanding the concept of synergies, you actually have to go back to 2017, when a meeting of the Prime Minister said, why aren't these programmes working together to do big things? So that's one word you have to keep your eye on. Now, we're all familiar with the structure of the current programme, Pillar 1, Pillar 2, Pillar 3, bottom up, top down, and so on. Now, yesterday, the gentleman from the Commission, I tried to practice his name, but it doesn't come to me. He was a great find by EARMA. He's the guy that's actually designing Framework 10, and everything tells us that the current structure is based on the proposal from the 16th of July 2025. Not a big document, and that said we're going to have a Pillar 1, Pillar 2, and Pillar 3. Now, I'm not going to go comparing them, because yesterday when he was presenting the slide, I think there's about 30 questions saying, where's EIT gone? So we won't go through that today, but they're now talking about a Pillar 4, which is bringing together widening and so on. Now, to be honest, there's very little more than that available at the moment. So when you said, well, they're thinking of having 4 pillars, ERC budget is going to double, Marie Curie will be there, and so on. But there'll be a big question about Pillar 2. But what you say is, this is based on the proposal from the 16th of July 2025. Okay. Now, Pillar 2 looks like continuing, but the big focus is now on competitiveness, because that's the big political issue. Now, those 2 slides, that's what we know today. And it's a proposal. But what I've seen over the years is that the initial proposal that's put out doesn't change that much. The lower levels, details will change, but the overall structure usually stays the same. Now, I have to thank Sylvia, who's here, for this. She should have been presenting it with me, but we had so I hope I do it justice, Sylvia. Now, what exactly is going to happen between now and, say, the middle of 2027? Now, the old soldiers here, you're all familiar with this diagram, but for the newcomers, how many of you understand cricket? Can you imagine trying to learn chess by watching somebody playing it? If you want to understand the system, you must know who the players are, the relationship between the players and the rules and so on. So at the top of this triangle, you have the policymakers. Now that's where Framework 10 is at this moment. It's a debate between the politicians and the Commission about what should be the structure and the funding for it and so on. And the green triangle shows that the Commission has been consulting the experts since February 2023. And in the previous EARMA talk, Sylvia gave a talk about the whole lobbying process that went on. So in other words, when you go back and say, well, it's a debate between the politicians and the Commission on the structure. Sometime around the middle of 2027, I'm going to get a text from Sylvia and she's going to say, Framework 10 has been adopted. That's the official terminology. That means the politicians are finished debating it, and now it's business as usual. Now, for the newcomers that didn't see this before, you're looking at 11 years of my life. It took me 11 years to figure that out. You will not find that diagram in any book that was ever written about the European Union. It's trying to play a game of cricket without understanding the layout of the field and so on. So this is the model that Sylvia and myself use. Look at the reality. This is what the scientist sees. Just new program from Brussels. This is what you need to know. You need to understand those processes, and that's what I'm going to explain how it actually works. Now, what about this famous thing called policy? European policy, and I'll explain in the next slide what it's about. The policies define the structure of Framework 10, Pillar 1, Pillar 2, and so on. We don't know will they continue using this language, the structure of Pillar 2, but look at the next one. They define the evaluation criteria. So that's why I follow policy, because I know that the evaluation criteria will be related to this. And as an advisor, this is the core of the advice that you give when you're looking at the content. But the topics are defined by the expert groups. Now, slide number 12 is the most important slide in my presentation. Have a look at it. So next week you're going to be, at having coffee, or you'll be at a meeting and they're talking about framework. Did you know that the evaluation criteria come from the policies, but the topics come from the expert groups? Now you must practice that in front of the mirror, and you must try it in different versions. And everybody look at you and say, who is this guru? So, in other words, that is it. That looks obvious. Not too many people know the link between the policies and the evaluation criteria and the link between the expert groups and the topics. So if you're to remember that much, and you can see the kind of language, like you're getting the experience now of somebody with 20, 30 years experience in this particular program. What are the policies? Now, the gentleman from the Commission yesterday, he mentioned all these things: European competitiveness, strategic autonomy. That is so important. I'm not going to give a lecture on it now. Now, it's not a case of glancing at these. You must get into the soul of what these things mean. And you must believe in them, because they're real issues. Other things like synergies. Yesterday he mentioned scale up. The Americans are brilliant at scaling up. We're good at startups, they're good at scale-ups. That's a big political issue. All those things are being debated at political level. So I read 3 newsletters every morning, European newsletters, and this is the kind of thing they're discussing at political level. So you do not have to become an expert on it, but you must be aware of the significance of all of these things. Those are the things that define the evaluation criteria. Whereas the expert groups, now what Sylvia is doing, she's collecting all the expert groups advising the Commission. I think she's 120, she said she doesn't know. But I was, and they defined the topics. Now, I was in UCC last week at the reception, and I saw this one man, I'll tell UCC who it was later. I saw one, and I was straight over to him. And I said to him, well, Cian, do you know what the first work programme of Framework 10 is going to be like? Of course I do, he said, I wrote it. And he said, what I'm working on, he says, I'm just leading 2 expert groups, and we're writing the work programme for 2030 to 2032. And then people are wondering, why has he such high success rates? And my neighbour is a confectioner, a master confectioner. I love learning new things, so I'm always asking him about the business. I said, what's the secret of your business? Is it the baking? Is it the finishing or something? And he looked at me and said, it's all in the preparation, he said. It's what I do before it all starts that makes all the difference. It's the same in this business. And how many scientists are following those expert group reports? In Tyndall, in Cork, they have the highest success rate in Ireland. They don't read the reports, they write the reports. And if your scientists are not minimum reading the reports, and at best writing the reports, then they're not even at the game. So these are the kind of messages. It's a tough thing to say, but when I'm summarising what you need to go back to be saying, that's one of the most important things. I give you away. You can't say that scientists are like men in general. We don't like being told what to do. So you can't say that like you should be on the expert group. The way you deal with it, you need to ask a question. So when the scientist comes into you, I'm doing a proposal on topic number 6. Now you must practice this in front of the mirror. And who wrote the topic? Or you might say, and who wrote that topic? And watch their face. And if they say, oh God, I have no idea. You're competing with the people that wrote the topic. One time Sylvia and myself were doing it, and we asked this consortium, and who wrote the topic? And they said, we did. Now, they still have to write a winning proposal, so the expert group reports are absolutely critical. So let's put the whole process into a kind of a time scale. From February 2023 until now, it was lobbying. And it was lobbying the Commission, because the Commission, on the 16th of July 2025, put forward the proposal. So all the focus was on the Commission. Now, the proposal went to the Parliament and the Council, And on the 3rd of March this year, the Parliament sent this huge document back to the Commission here, where they took every paragraph of the 16th of July proposal and they commented on it. Did you read it? That was okay. I did too. Okay. Nobody reads these things. I just wanted to see who was influencing. But when you look at the report, have a look at the annex. I think there was only one annex in it. It was a list of over 80 organisations who sent information to the Parliament. And the Parliament was thanking them for their input to their report. In other words, they were thanking them for lobbying. They were lobbying, they were participating in the decision-making process. And if you see the list, it's the same organisations that keep winning. So in other words, this process is very, very, very open, but it's like the cricket. You could be standing in the middle of the field with the ball and you don't know what to do with it. You must understand the mechanics. Now, what's going to happen here, the Commission will submit another version, an amended proposal they will call it. The Council will comment it, the Parliament will comment it. It will go back and forth like this, and that's what Sylvia does. She's based in Brussels, so and all the people in Brussels watching all these documents. And then sometime, middle of 2027, we're going to hear Framework 10 has been adopted. So from now until about the middle of 2027, the lobbying is to the European Parliament and the Council, which are the national politicians. So and then once the programme starts, we're back lobbying the Commission to get topics into Pillar 2 or others. Now, I put in these links. These are the people from your countries who are on Utrecht in the Parliament and the permanent representatives and so on. And Ireland is going to have the presidency of the Council during the hottest part of this debate. So a lot of these meetings are going to be held in Ireland. So again, it's a wonderful opportunity for our ministers to be at the table. Now, I'm nearly finished. So this is what you're going to, next week you're going to swagger into the office or that meeting and say, okay, what we have to do? 2026, reading. That's all you can do. There's absolutely nothing. Some people are lobbying, but most of us, it's just monitoring these kind of things. It's reading the news, that's what we get in the news every day. So it's a reading year. And if you're not reading, you're not doing your job. I'm sorry. If I was a director, I want to know, I want to be briefed on this kind of information. But the researchers have to be reading. And they're not reading. They're using AI to convert a 200-page document into a one-page summary. The soul has gone out of it. So again here, you need to get the message out that the scientists have to be reading these expert group reports. And that's, say, up to about the end of 2026. So that's all we're doing at the moment. That's all we can do is read. Beginning of 2027, things should start taking shape. Now you have a bit of work to do, is studying the draft work programs maybe, updating your templates, updating your guidelines. Now hopefully the networks, the NCP networks might help you in this way. And for the scientists, they need to start reading the work programs. And we work with, give courses in a number of research centres. The minute the work programme is out, they're already planning their projects. The draft work programme, not the work programme. And then when we come to the end of 2027, it's just back to business as usual. And then from 2028, we head off like this. So I hope that gives you a kind of a feel of what's involved. It's an exciting time, and whoever's the youngest person or the youngest research support staff in the audience, you could be that guru by following this. So I hope you enjoy that. Thank you for your attention, and I'll take any questions that you